One of my subscribers, long-time subscriber, someone I actually respect, asked me if you had to choose between if you and I went out shooting, one with the best camera and one who takes the best pictures, who would like to be? And my answer to him was that yes, I'd like to be the person who takes the best pictures. But I think that's also the result of a process, the process of the connection of you with the gear, of the comfort that you share, of what your relationship is with the camera and the lens. Do you feel it, or do you just look at it as a tool? I think, despite what everyone says, I think that if you're just looking at the camera as a tool, as merely as an object that does the job for you, I don't think it works as beautifully as when you feel that you're a team. You and your camera, he's the buddy or she's the buddy, and you are a team. When that connection happens, when you both got each other's back, it's literally like your two buddies doing something together. There is a connection. I feel my camera has an entity. I look at my camera not as a tool but as a living entity. It's something that has its own life. That's why whenever I sold my cameras, I don't know, I felt something. It's like a car. Like people who love their cars, I can tell you, they they attribute life to their cars. It's not a vehicle anymore. It is something that lives with you. And that relationship happens when you see the camera supporting you in difficult conditions. That's what Nikon says. It takes whatever abuse he dishes out. I think abuse is probably not the right word, but in a relationship we have challenges. You sort of go through, ups and downs, and your ability to trust in something through that ups and downs is what I'm talking about here. And I think if you felt that way, then you know what I'm talking about. And I think this is a great time for me to get into someone's work I recently come across on the Nikon Z9 group. He was talking about the Z9. He said that it's been a year with the Z9, and here are some pictures with my Z9 and my 35 1.8. And I thought, okay, 35 1.8, that particular Z lens I don't particularly love. But then I just went through the pictures and I started saying, okay, these are some good pictures. Is a 35Z that good? Maybe I underexplored it. Maybe I didn't give it the right chance. And I started questioning myself, and I went to the pictures. And then there were some pictures which I could not feel. I felt as if something is happening there, but I couldn't take it all in. So, but at the end, I realized there's just so many emotions. So I wrote that in the comment. I said, wow, there are so many emotions in these pictures, or something like that. I wrote that under the post. But then I was curious to see the photographer. I went inside and I found Matteo Carta. He's an Italian photographer, wedding photographer. And I saw on his sort of you see a background picture, is the main picture, I don't know what it's called. And I saw that it is that picture which I could not immediately feel. And then I read what he had written. He had written, I love those moments that surprise you, the ones that are difficult to shoot for the load of emotions I feel. Those moments that last a blink of an eye. Those fleeting moments in which you have to try to compose, clean your background in camera. Love those moments that surprise you, the ones that are difficult to shoot for the load of emotion I feel. And I realized in a moment immediately that I looked at these pictures, I did not feel anything because there's just so much packed in it. And my mind was not open wide enough to take it all in. It was early in the morning. I had just woken up. I just looked at the picture. I was still in the process of actually waking up. And I read this. I immediately understood. It's It's inside a hospital. There's a bride. There's a bride who's walking away. There are nurses, and on the right side of the picture, there's a man. Look at the lighting. It's cold light. It's probably sunlight, but it's still cold, cool blue light. And he's probably wiping a tear from his eye from his left eye. And I see her walking. On the left of the picture, there is warm yellow light of that corridor. And I wanted to know more about it. So I went inside. I went inside his album. And so I went inside his photos album. And then I found this particular album. And I started looking at the pictures. Oh my God. The bride and the groom, they come in. There's this old man sitting. They meet him. Then the nurses are curious. They're looking in what's happening. They're peeping into the room. That old man is so happy. Both the bride and the groom, they're looking at him. And it's like a wedding is going to happen. They're very close. I don't know if he's the father. It doesn't look like one. He's probably a close family member. I mean, they're not happy that he cannot probably attend. They're all wearing masks. I don't know whether this is during COVID time or just after COVID time. Okay, this is, I think, taken in May. So I think they're all being cautious and wearing the masks. Okay, all right. And then that moment happens when she actually comes out and she's going back. Yeah. She probably didn't know how he was feeling when she left. He probably was smiling when they met him, but when she left, the fact that he's back to being alone in his hospital and he's missing out on all this very precious moment. She didn't know until perhaps Matteo showed it to her and her family. When we talk about wedding photography and its value today, whether AI is going to take over, and how to price wedding photography, how do you price this? I'm not a professional photographer, but I am a photographer. As a professional, as an artist, it is my ability to put myself in others' shoes that allows me to take a picture and then actually find the meaning in it, or probably even show that picture to someone and tell them, this is what I saw in that moment. Because it's us, our eyes, our minds who put meaning in a picture. The pictures in itself doesn't carry the meaning. Stuff written on a piece of paper, that paper doesn't feel anything. It's what I'm reading. When I'm reading, what I'm reading into, what meaning I'm ascribing to that piece of paper. If you don't know the language, you can't ascribe any meaning to it. It's the process of engaging with the text that during which you create meaning for ourselves. What we realize, what we feel, and I'm probably just blabbering on, but excuse me for that. But this defined the scope of photography, the scope of wedding photography, the scope of personal events photography for me. And I went on, there were so many pictures, and then the wedding moments happen, and there are just so many beautiful pictures, so many stunning pictures. I mean, look at this particular picture. I mean, what's the subject? This elderly gentleman and his wife, they're both looking at something that's happening beyond the scope of this particular picture. But you can see the importance of what is happening in their eyes and on their faces. And that is the subject of this picture. I mean, I think you have to be a very good human being in order to be such a good photographer. And he captured that emotion front and center, where everyone else is looking at what's happening. What's happening is probably of less import than what's being felt. at that moment. Yeah, probably he has gone on and taken the pictures of what's happening on what they've, that event. I mean, there's so many emotions in this picture. Look at this particular one, and this is where I went back to his post where I said, I've been using the Z9 for 1 year and with the 35 1.8. I said, the camera is invisible, the lens is invisible. At this point, I'm not thinking what lens, what character of the lens, blah 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 blah. The sharpness doesn't matter at all. Yeah, probably autofocus matters, yeah, but none of the else. Control of the camera matters. The camera supporting you matters, but pure qualitatively, it ceases to. It stops having any real impact. I mean, all the specs. Look at this kid, how he's playing. It's incredible how unmindful they are of the kid and the kid and that little child of him. It's like Matteo is invisible to them, or Matteo is a part of that family. And his huge camera is not disturbing anyone. Like we say that when you have a huge big gear, it stops you from sort of making a connect with the moment because people are too aware of you. I realize and I think that it is not that. It is these pictures tell us that it is not that. It is the photographer's personal ability to become a part of that group, become a part of that family, those people that matters. They are completely oblivious to him. And I don't think that is happening from a place of disrespect. I think that's happening from a place of from a place of almost taking him for granted, taking him not for granted, taking him as a part of the family, part of the scene. Okay, he doesn't stand out. He mixes right in that moment. So, I mean, how these are some incredible pictures. These are some incredibly brave pictures too. I mean, for someone to be a sensitive person, for someone to be a feeling human being, and to confront all these emotions, and to also be comfortable with this possible reality that whatever you are going through, whatever you are feeling, whatever meaning you see in these moments and pictures, others may not see, your client may not see. You may never get that appreciation. But at the end of the day, then all of this is for you. All of this is for who gets you, who understands you. And is this good? Is this a good reason enough for you to stop, quit your day job and do this? Probably. There's this channel called Tin House Photography, and a few days back I was watching him, and he talked about the surety of a day job, of whatever else you want to do, and he talked about happiness and photography. He talked about all these things, and I got the same thing coming from him, and I got the sense that he was saying that eventually, he said that he doesn't have a hobby. Yeah, he said he doesn't have a hobby. So eventually, what matters is the life you live, because you're a photographer. The life you live is not about the life you can afford because how much money you're making. I think money is a result. And he says, Tin House Photography, he says that he's making actually more money than he used to make in his job. Probably if he had spent 15 hours doing that, he would have probably made the same amount of money or more. I don't know that. He doesn't speak about that. I loved going through these pictures. I don't know how to title this video, but I'm going to figure something out. If you're still watching me, then do subscribe and support me. I talk a lot of Nikon, but today I'm just talking photography. I'm not a wedding photographer, but I love to discover incredible pieces of work, and it's a privilege for me to share Matteo's work with you, all of you. And Matteo, if you're watching this, then I would invite you to my channel one day and just talk Just talk me through the emotional life that you live. Talk me through how it is to kind of be this person, to do this, to be this photographer, and what advice you have for everyone. Let me tell you at this point that I saw on his Facebook page that he's awarded the best photographer. 2022 Fearless Photographer of the Year, Italy, Matteo Carta. I mean, wow. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Wow. I mean, what I felt is felt by a lot of people. And thank you, Matteo, for all these emotions. I don't know how much you charged, but these pictures are priceless, man. These pictures are priceless. I'm sure your clients must have been speechless. I am talking a lot, but I'm speechless inside. I'm going to see you soon with another video.